Hey everybody, I wanted to talk about ratios and proportions for this video. So a ratio, let me write down ratio, is basically comparing quantities. Quantities, I think that's how you spell it, I hope. Okay, so that's comparing quantities. So it's going to look like, with that little line in the middle, right? Or it's going to be like X, Y, right? Those are the symbols. That little stick or those two dots. Proportion, proportion, all right? That's going to be two ratios, right? That's going to be two ratios compared, let's say. So it's going to be X and Y equals something else that looks basically the same, right? L and M, right there. So we're working with ratios, which is basically a fraction, and we're going to compare them. We're going to compare them to each other. And that doesn't make sense, but it's going to make sense in the questions. We're going to have, they're called application questions, which is basically word problems. So when you see applications, depending on the context, you could be dealing with word problems. So there's only like 5, so it's pretty quick. So let's read it. It says, a map states that 1 inch is equal to 35 miles. How many inches apart on the map will two cities be if they are 7 miles apart? Okay, so what you want to do is take a look at what they're asking first. It's asking how many inches, right? That's what we're looking for. Let's put a little question mark there. So it says, a map states that 1 inch equals 35 miles, right? So those are equal to each other. How many inches? So we know inches are 7 miles apart, 7 miles apart, right? So our proportions are 1 and 35, question mark, and 7. What you want to do is you want to stack all the words that match together. See how I put inches and miles together? So it's going to be 1 question mark equals 35, 7. That's what it's going to look like. That's the setup. You got your ratios right here. You got your proportions right here. And instead of a question mark, what I want to do is I want to replace it with the letter X. You can use any letter. We're going to use X here by default. Okay, what do I do now? I have it set up, but now I have to solve the problem, right? I have to get X by itself. That's what I'm basically doing. So when you deal with proportions, you're going to cross multiply. So all of these problems are going to cross multiply. Cross multiply. I have 35x equals 7. I want to isolate X. So we have to get it by itself. So 35 over 35 is 1, so it's X is by itself. 7 over 35 is 1 over 5. But let's say you didn't do that. Let's say you put it into a calculator and you get 0.2. Okay, so if you got 0.2, which is what we have, right? If you were to take 7 and divide it by 35 into a calculator, what you want to do is you want to move this guy over. So you're going to get 20 over 100. Just 100 at the bottom, the answer you have at the top. When you divide that, it's going to be 1 over 5. If you just keep reducing. 1 over 5, 1 over 5. Let's try another problem. Problem 2. 8 pounds of papaya is a fruit, costs 98 cents. 98 cents, that's important. At the same rate, how much will 12 pounds of papaya cost? So the first thing we do is we see what they're asking. They're asking how much. That's a dollar sign situation, right? How much? That's kind of tricky because you're like, that can also mean like weight, but you have to read the whole question. How much will 12 pounds of papaya cost? We already know it's 12 pounds, so you don't gotta mess with the weight. They're asking about the number of price, right? So it's price. That's how much they want in terms of price. I wonder if this question could have been worded better, but sometimes they're not. So let's go ahead and try to figure it out. I have 8 pounds that cost 98 cents. Here's a really good idea right here. It says 98 cents. What you're going to do is you're actually going to put a period right there at the very beginning, because it's 98 cents. It's not $98. It's 98 cents, right? So at the same rate, which means there's no secret information you need, right? It's telling you right here, just what's in front of you. How much will 12 pounds of papaya cost? X. We're going to do an X. So we're matching all the words together, and this is cost, right? So like a little price tag. And we're going to cross multiply. I'm going to put 8 and X together. I'm going to do 12 and point 98 together. So I have 8X equals 12 times 0.98. It's going to be 1176. Now what do I do? The goal is to get X by itself, because I'm trying to figure out what that secret number is. Let's go ahead and divide by 8. 8 over 8 is 1, right? So we have this little secret quiet 1 over here. 11.76 divided by 8 is going to be 147, right? So if you were to bring home 12 pounds of papaya, that fruit, it cost you $1.47 to do that. If you only wanted 8 pounds, you didn't want to mess with 12, it would cost you 98 cents. Let's try another question. A small puppy can run m miles in h hours. At the same rate, how fast will the puppy run k miles? This is the exact same stuff we were doing earlier, except they don't give us numbers anymore. So we're not actually solving a math problem. We're just doing a setup. So let's try to see if we can figure it out. It's asking how fast. It's asking about speed. So let's see. How fast? Oh, let's put a question mark here. That's what we're looking for. M miles in h hours, right? At the same rate, how fast will a puppy run in k miles? So, hours. I wonder if I said something different earlier. I already forgot what I said. Okay, well, if there was an error earlier, whoopsies. Okay. I don't remember what I said, so I have no idea how to correct that if there was a reason to correct it. Okay, so I have m miles in h hours, right here. M miles in h hours. And then the second guy is k miles with question mark hours. Jeez, I wish I could remember what I told you guys. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stack all this stuff up that's similar. And then we're going to go ahead and cross multiply because we're dealing with proportions. So the mk equals hx. Cross multiply. Keep in mind we have a bunch of alphabets, but we're dealing with x. Our goal is always to isolate x in this context. So what do I have? I have mx equals kh. I have to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide by m. M over m is 1. It's going to be kh over m. That's the answer to this question. This one's a little bit weird because what it's asking you basically is, do you know how to set up this problem? Right? We did 2 of them already, so we have an idea. We have a vague idea, or maybe we're experts by now. But this is what it's asking you. It doesn't care what the actual answer is. They just want to know, do you know how to do the work? Let's take another one. It takes Q hours to drain a pool containing X gallons of water. If the pool contains Y gallons of water, how long will it take to drain at the same rate? How long will it take? This is asking for time, right? We'll do T for time. So that's what it's asking. It's not asking for the amount. We already have that. Right, so let's go ahead and it takes Q hours to drain a pool containing X gallons of water. So we have Q hours is equal to X gallons. Okay, and then let's see. So now we're going to go on to the next line. If the pool contains Y gallons of water, how long will it take? So I have Y, gal, no, there's no room for an A. Y gallons, how long will it take? Question mark. hours. Okay, this is a good one. I'm going to erase this question mark. I'm going to put an X there. Here's the thing, we have two X's, right? We can switch it up to anything. We don't have to keep it as X. We can just like do an L or an M or an A or a star or something, a heart. It doesn't matter. I'm going to intentionally keep it X on both just so you can see how to organize your work when it becomes what feels like it's complicated. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So let me go ahead and move this over. So how do I do this? How do I organize what X belongs where? I'm going to put a little 0 down here. I'm going to put a little 1 down here. The 0 is not, K-N-O-T. That's what that means. X not, and then we have 1 and then other X, so it's X1. My goal is to find X1, not X naught, right? So this is the same thing we just did earlier with the puppy, where they didn't give us any numbers. They just wanted us to mess with the alphabets just to see if we know how to set it up. I'm going to purposely keep it kind of tricky so we can work through it. Okay, I circled what I'm isolating. So let's go ahead and stack up the same hours, and we're going to stack up the gallons, right? These are ratios we built, and it's proportion, so what do? We cross multiply. Cross multiplying these, cross multiplying these. What do I end up with? I end up with QY equals X1 and X naught, or X0. And then let's see, what am I doing? I am needing to get X1 by itself. So what do? I'm going to put X0 at the bottom, right? Because if I did X1, you would get rid of that and move it over here, and we don't need that. We need to keep it by itself. So that becomes 1. So X becomes QY over X, right? That is the answer. This is the final answer right here. This doesn't matter. We don't need that. In fact, in all of these, we don't need that X equals. We just need the actual answer itself. This is the final answer, QY over X, right? That is the answer to how long it takes to drain the pool. And again, it's another question of like, do you know how to set this up? And so far, yeah, we're chill. Here's the last question. Okay. In 6 years, Luigi is able to paint 58 paintings. If Luigi works at the same speed, how many complete paintings can he paint in 11 years? Okay, so the first thing we do is we're going to circle what it's asking me. What is X? So it says if Luigi works at the same speed, how many complete paintings? How many complete paintings? How many? Right? This is a quantity. It's not asking about years, because it already gave me years. 11 years. Okay. So I have 6 years. Oh, let me do years. Years equals 58 paintings. Paintings with an S. If Luigi works at the same speed, which means there's no secret data, this is just what's in front of us, how many complete paintings can he paint in 11 years? Well, we have 11 years here. Now we're trying to figure out how many paintings he can put together in 11 years. We already know what he could do in 6 years. We know he can do 58. But what about 11 years? We can try to estimate, but the thing is, 6 plus 6 is 12, and then you have 11 years, and it gets tricky. So we got to do the proportion thing. We stack up years, so I'm going to do 6 over 11. That's my ratio, right? That's my ratio. Equals 58x. That is my second ratio, and the equal sign in the middle is my proportion, right? So when I have two ratios and a proportion, I cross multiply right here. So I have 6x equals 11 times 58 is going to be 638, right? But I got to get that x by itself. So I'm going to do 6 and 6. What does that give me? it gives me, actually gives me 106.3, right? So here's the thing. This is not the final answer, 106.3, because it's asking me for the complete paintings, right? Complete paintings. That means he can produce 106.3 paintings. He needs to show full paintings. He can't just show up with like half a painting, right? 0.3 is like a third of a painting. So, or basically just not a finished painting. So how many can he actually like show me? He can only show me 106 completed pieces, right? So that was a little bit of a little trick they put in there, right? So they're asking for completed paintings. So if this was like a quiz question or a test question, depending on how the instructor is, if you were to box this one, they would say it's wrong, and you would lose like a couple of points, or they take everything off and just make the whole question wrong, because you can't showcase 106.3 paintings. You can only showcase 106. Basically, what this means is that the dude has 107 paintings. It's just one of them he didn't finish. So he actually only has 106, and he has that one extra that he didn't finish. You can't do much with that. You can't go sell it. You know what I mean? So he only has 106. So that's the actual answer. Okay, I hope this helped. Okay, so this covered ratios and proportions involving application questions, right? Which is word problems. All right, thanks guys. Goodbye.